And we are live. Good morning, everybody. So today we'll work on some of these Death Guard guys. And I'll tell y'all how I'm doing with this coronavirus. I was supposed to go on a fishing trip with a bunch of game wardens and veterans and civilian guys that support all the veterans and stuff, but I am not going to be able to do that. As much as I'd like to, that ain't happening. So about 12 days ago, I started feeling really crappy. And I tried to just suck it up, and take some cold medicine and everything. Started feeling really bad. And eventually I went down to the VA and they stuck me with a bunch of stuff and basically said, yeah, you got the Rona, homie. So I went home, started doing this. Hasn't been that bad. Stayed hydrated the best I could. There's a lot of sweating, a lot of man, this sucks moments, but for the most part, it wasn't any worse than any cold I've ever had. The body aches, those were way worse than any cold I've ever had. Like I would come up my stairs and instantly no energy. And you're like, yeah, that's with most, flus. But I wasn't like tired sapped. I just, bleh, And moving across the room, I go over there and stand near my wife while she worked on her puzzle and look over her shoulder. And just standing there for a few minutes caused the same kind of sensation of fatigue, but not being tired, if that makes sense. Like I was sleeping a whole lot. For about 3 days, I laid in bed. A couple times I came up here and tried to do a few videos and got like 8 minutes in or 3 minutes in on one. I even deleted like 2 and never showed y'all. But yeah, those were weird moments. I ain't never felt like that before, And I've had some of those weird other country diseases, sicknesses, I was in Germany once and I had this weird thing where the whole right side of my neck swelled up like I had a goiter. If you ever seen that movie, Van Wilder, there's a guy, Sick Boy, that's got this massive thing on his neck. I think they modeled that after what I looked like in the hospital. I got that in Germany. I think I got stung by some kind of weird bug. I don't know. Doctors never told me what the hell it was. They just said it's some kind of weird reaction. So, but yeah, today I feel 100% better. Like, I don't actually think I really slept last night. I just dozed, but like I said, I pretty much stayed in bed for 3 days. So it was just kind of napping for me, I guess. But, I got energy, feel good. If it wasn't raining, I'd go for a walk, take the dogs out, get them around the block once or twice, see what kind of damage these storms have done. We've had some pretty hellacious storms for a few days. So, yeah. I believe I am going to be 100% okay. So that being said, I don't have, what do you call them things? Comorbidities. Yeah. The sickness that'll get you killed when you catch the COVID. So since I don't have none of those, I also came out fairly well. Plus it helps that my daughter's sick also, and my grandson was sick at the same time, and my youngest son was sick at the same time, and then my oldest son got sick at the same time. So, not sure what color I'm going to do those. going to make those spores. I'm going to turn those into spores instead of little jets of bones, maybe. But yeah, everybody got sick. My wife didn't get sick, but she, German efficiency. She took one look at us and instantly started running around with a pocket full of sanitary wipes and hand sanitizer and everything else. She was like, "Look, I'm gonna go ahead and get some food around work. You guys eat the stuff at home. I'm gonna get stuff from like Taco Bell every day and plastic spoons that are pre-wrapped." So she didn't get it. She's still pretty healthy. Every now and then, I heard her cough, and I'm like, "Are you getting the Rona?" She'd say, "No, I'm disgusted by the sound of you coughing, and it's making me gag, and it's freaking me out. Go away. I love you, but go away." It's like, man, she's mean. My wife is definitely the Grinch. But she's awesome. So, yeah, man. To all my homies that were like, Godspeed and hope you get better. And yeah, appreciate those thoughts, man. That was cool of you. Thanks. I'm never going to advocate that thoughts and prayers is ever going to work or be functional, but, I guess I understand now why you people do that stuff. Man. Normally I don't put these guys all the way together like this. I'm not a fan of that. I like doing them mostly like this, where I can get all the fine detail pieces. And like this guy's head, I chose a very specific one, is this thing. I really like this thing. Let me zoom in. That head right there. That's the one I like. So I'm going to do that guy's head, but I need to be able to hold that way separate because there's a lot of detail in there I got to try. So, yeah, I am going to totally forego putting these dudes together completely again before I start painting. I've got the contour paints for Skeleton Horde, which is what I'm going to cover all of these bones in. But sometimes I look at it and I think it's a little bit too light. So after watching a couple tutorial videos from Rob at the Brush and Bolt Gun and one of the Siege Studio videos, if you change the tones just lightly, like this, like I'm putting a skeleton bone instead of the Corax white, and it makes that the distinct tan. The contrast paint is ridiculously different. It's just so much better. So if you're going to do that, I suggest that even though you're going to contrast, try using a couple base coats of different colors, because you never know what's actually going to look really, really awesome on accident. I've discovered that a few times. I accidentally did some great stuff. So, let's see. Pretty sure I got all those bones. All right. Go ahead and take this guy. Set him down here. We'll get this guy and get him up here where we can get a good look at him. I'm going to do the same thing on this guy's mouth in the middle of his stomach. And likely what I'm going to do is Caribou Crimson shade this whole interior and leave that red on these teeth and try to fade that back up to white near the tips. I saw that technique used a couple times, and You know, I'm not going to pretend I'm like some kind of weird expert, but, you know, guys talk a lot of smack, and I like to say challenge accepted. So I'm going to try that. I was unable to do the last challenge I did with the orange paint from the Aegis or Squidmar miniatures, guys. So, all right. Well, I guess I've been in here long enough that I'm not going to get flagged. So I'll start talking about what I did while I was sick. I learned some techniques in the Army if you're sick, ways to trick your body into fast healing itself, I guess. I mean, this isn't scientific, so take it for what it's worth. But I intentionally dehydrated myself. Like, I drank some distilled water mixed with orange juice, high pulp orange juice, because I wanted to give my stomach the fruiting effect, the grape effect, because I was having some diarrhea with this. And what I did was the trick that professional eaters use before a competition. They'll just go out and they'll just eat massive, massive amounts of grapes. What that does is it expands their bellies, but grapes are like water, literally water. They're just water. Once they hit the acids in your stomach, that all that grape pulp just dissolves. It's not as dense as orange or grapefruit pulp. So your body can push it out as through the regular urine tract as water, or they could push it out through the intestinal system. And my intent was with the orange juice is if I was going to be having diarrhea, I wanted that vitamin C flushing through my body as far as possible, as much as possible. So I drank about 1.5 gallons of high pulp orange juice with that. And that was like what I ate. I tried to eat, but like I said, I just didn't have much of an appetite, and sometimes the solids would make me throw up. So I limited it to had 2 pieces of cheese pizza one day. I had a bowl of spaghetti with light marinara sauce and very little hamburger in it. And then the next day I had a small plate of fettuccine with Alfredo sauce and a little bit of chicken on it. And that was pretty much what I ate for about the last 5 days. Before that, I really couldn't eat nothing. I was just throwing up or pooping it out right away. So when I did that, it kept me from having to run to the bathroom every 10 minutes. So it was kind of nice. But I was drinking electrolyte water, and that's very important because in Buddy and Ranger School, upset his electrolyte balance, and yeah, that's a medical emergency, man. I've seen that up close and personal. That's not good. So, anywho, I'm gonna paint that black. That kept me going. I ate a couple handfuls of pretzels here and there. Every now and then I would eat a piece of toast, just really stuff that was really light. I didn't want anything that was gonna, cause an emergency change of underwear situation. You know what I mean? We're all grown up. It's happened to us all. We've done it. Yeah. So I didn't want to get too far away from the toilet at any moment. But anyway, so I did sleep a lot, a whole lot, like scary a lot. And the vivid dreams were pretty crazy too. I had a buddy said that he was hallucinating. He got diagnosed, and he actually had to get on a respirator. I did not. I was very fortunate. I think that's just because of how much freaking NyQuil I was chugging to make sure my lungs stayed dry. I had pneumonia as a kid, and I never want to experience that again. That was a horrible, horrible, horrible moment in life. So, yeah. But anyway, my buddy Matt, he said he was hallucinating a lot. And I was like, man, you can't be serious. There's no way. But when I was like, spent a whole day just laying in my bed, I am 100% sure that I talked to the dude that was with me from the Army. He was my babysitter when I had my back surgery. And that guy's been dead for a while. He's a great guy. He's a great friend, but I know for a fact he's been dead for a while. But I am 100% sure that he was chilling with me in my room 2 days ago, because I remember our conversation. And that dude tells you stuff. He was a very religious man. Very religious man. He wasn't a religious man because he was dying. He was just a religious man. But he had this weird thing where if he ate the wrong thing and his stomach gave him indigestion, his body would react that his stomach is trying to poison him, and it would shut the organ down. Not 100% sure that's the really real part, but that's how he explained it to me. And I'm kind of a dummy, so that's good enough for me. But yeah, man, that was a bad way to go. But like I said, I know he's gone. But me and that dude talked about some stuff. So, where am I now? Do I have anything else I need black? Nah, not on that. All right, so I really want to get on this guy, but I'm saving this guy. I'll probably start on him again tomorrow and get on those legs, get him pasted down, and get those carapaces done. Let's see. I don't have anything on him. Nothing on there. All right. Get some shade. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go with some Drucci Violet on the cape and darken it down. I was going to do Agrax Earthshade maybe, but I'm going to go ahead and go with a deeper red than a crusty red on this. Now I did put the Blood Angels contrast on here, but I'm not a fan of how that look leaves it, if that makes sense. I like a little bit more depth to the shade than what that particular color gets. Yeah. It's good enough, don't get me wrong. It's a pretty good color, pretty good shade, and I do use it. I can, just dog it out while I slather it on here because, no one likes a hypocrite. But I really like how it looks after you darken it with some. You can use Caribou Crimson and make it a really, really vibrant red. Drucci Violet gives it the deeper red effect. Kind of tempted to try some green colors on, but this guy needs to sit up. Yeah. I'd like to try some of the green colors on him because, Death Guard, Plague, yada, 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 but it just doesn't ever look right. Let's see. All right. I have to shade this guy, so I will need not Bealtan Green. I will need the Antonian Camo shade. Get some shading done. Done this guy. This guy's pretty cool. I like that little dude. I'm going to put him in the pit here in a second. All right. Brass. Well, this is, once again, don't ever put your metallics into your wet palette. If you do, may as well change that to a metallic palette, because those little flakes will get in that sponge and you will always see them in your other paint colors. And that may be a desired effect. Don't get me wrong. It is a cool effect, but you know, when you're going for grim dark and you end up with grim sparkly, you know, it's like, man, these are pretty Marines. These aren't Space Marines. These are pretty Marines, and we don't do pretty Marines. Bunch of heretics. So, but that being said, we're still having some pretty bad storms here. Every now and then I'll get a, hey, we're going to severe weather alert you for about 30 minutes. And then 45 minutes later, I'll get another one. Seen a couple circulation clouds, but nothing fell out of the sky here. So it's all good. The water in the lake is, I think we're at 108% capacity or something like that. They wanted to let it fill up and get the banks and everything reset. I don't know. I don't pretend to be some kind of aquatic engineer. I just listen to the old people that say they know what they're talking about. It's like, yeah, I really don't want to argue with you, so I'm just going to say, okay, I'll believe you. But anyway, so I'm going to go down to the river, see if I can get some cool video down there. We got a buddy, Blackfire, on this Discord server I hang out on. He's a fossil guy also. I got a box I'm going to mail that dude. Big old surprise box, man. I found some I got really lucky. Like, freaking Indiana Jones might want to raid my house before I mail this box lucky. You know, I found some fantastic freaking fossils. And I know that dude's in, I think, either New Jersey or, you know, one of those states where I don't know anything about it. So presuming that it sucks to be there is just be predicated on the fact that it's not Texas. So I don't know anything about it, but he says that he can't really go. There's not a lot of places he can go look for fossils there. And since I sit on what was the coastline back in the dino days, and I literally live 10 minutes from Dinosaur Valley National Park, I am in a prime spot for fossil hunting. So I go out in the Brazos River Basin and a couple other places, and you know, I just walk around, and it's really as simple as just look and you shall find, seek and ye shall find, right? Is that how it is? Seek and ye shall find. Because I'll walk around and something will just catch my eye, and I'll move a couple rocks, and holy crap, it's a freaking fossilized skull, half in a rock, half out of a rock. Cha-ching! You know, it's like, I don't sell any of my fossils. That's funny, but you know, I will not sell any fossils. I have donated like boxes and boxes of them to Texas A&M down there, Bryan College Station. It's a good college. I never went there, but I had buddies that went there, and you know, it's good enough for them. It's good enough for me. So I send all my stuff to there. There's some chick down there that sends me an email every now and then telling me I'm awesome, and if I ever come down there, she's got a beer waiting for me, and I'm gonna have a steak. And I'm like, all right, cool. I'll go do that someday. If I ever really want to get this whole thing going like I'm planning, I'm gonna do that. I'll go down there and talk to her. I'll do an interview with her and let her tell y'all what she thinks about that stuff. Because, like I said, she's the expert. But that reminds me, I'll give y'all a lesson in leadership if you want it. Something that it took very little time for me to learn, because I had a person pointing out all of these flaws in other people continuously and explaining to me why I should never do that. And I would just like to say thank you to Mark Bellafield, Sergeant First Class Mark Bellafield. Last I spoke to the man, war hero, one of the bravest men I've ever had the honor to serve with. But he taught me lessons in leadership. And one of those lessons was kind of like a slap to the face. He said, "You don't know everything. You may know a little bit about a lot, but you know just enough to be a danger to your soldiers if you think you can make decisions based on your knowledge alone. Never be that guy. Do not be the person that has to look in the mirror and tell yourself it's because of your own ineptitude that your soldiers are dead." It's kind of a crazy thing to, get thrown to a guy, but, it made a lot of sense to me. Made me think. He said, "You always find the subject matter expert. You don't need to know how to do everything. But if you know how to find the guy to do anything, no matter what it is, if you find the guy that can do anything and he becomes your friend, and you know that guy, when you need that thing, you have the person that knows more about that thing than anyone else on the planet. And that makes that person more valuable to you." So it's kind of like a symbiotic relationship among NCOs. You'll get the ones that like to just keep their knowledge. They think they understand the concept of knowledge as power, but they don't understand that if you keep that knowledge and don't share it, that power is nothing. It's meaningless. So you share your knowledge, you share your power. So they don't like to share power. Mark Bellafield taught me that is stagnant. That's toxic. You have to train the person to take your place. Otherwise, no one's going to want you to leave where you're at. You know what I'm saying? You can't move up if the spot you leave is vacant. It won't work. So people that complain that they can't advance, well, what about your Joes? Why aren't your soldiers advancing? Why aren't you having them spend time doing stuff? I had a couple people a few times accuse me of being lazy because I would have soldiers doing stuff, but it wasn't anything critical, I'll say. When I was in Germany as a desk sergeant, the soldiers sometimes would come in and I would sit with them and show them how to do all of the desk sergeant stuff. Everything that we do, that we have to find, how we have to send the reports out. And technically, they're not supposed to know any of that crap because reasons. But, these are guys that are going to do this job someday. And if they understand what it is and the importance of what it is, then when they get here and they get blindsided by it, they're not going to hate it. They're going to want to perform it because that's what you do. You take care of your own. And that's kind of what a desk sergeant does. A desk sergeant gets to decide who committed what crimes. And that's based off the paperwork that he has on his desk. People can say, well, this, that, or the other, but when it comes down to it, it's like an election. The person counting the votes decides who wins, not the names on the ballots. And as soon as people understand that, and accept that as reality, you start having some, open case counting. But anyway, I'm not even going to go to that level of craziness. But I digress. Let's get back to the leadership thing. So you got to know a guy or a gal, doesn't matter. You know, that's a lot of thing people like to do nowadays too is, hey, look, let's all be genderistic. Doesn't matter. So you know the guy, you know the gal. Then when your soldiers come to you and they ask you, hey, how do I do this? If you have a general idea, you could tell them, hey, you know, left, right, left, right. Or you could whip out your handy dandy phone and you can say, hey, got a soldier with a question. He wants to know this, this, and this. And soldiers see you calling a guy instantly to get actual information, you know, and then, you know, a couple of the other NCOs were like, man, you look weak. You look like you always got to ask for help. I'm like, you do realize your soldiers know when you're full of shit. Sorry, I didn't want to use profanity. That's not nice. I say, you know, your soldiers know when you're lying to them, you know, or when you're just blatantly, you know, cow pooping your way. Hey, underdog, what's up, brother? Cow pooping your way through a conversation. And soldiers see that and they understand that. I had a bunch of soldiers come to me and be like, hey, my NCO told me this. Do you know somebody? And I would say, yeah. Here's a phone number. Just don't tell them you got it from me. Just call and say, hey, I understand you're an expert in this. I have a question if you can help me. And, you know, that was a really good way to foster relationships in the Army. I had a lot of really good friends that were really, really high-ranking people. And that was because I would do things that were probably unethical. But I know of a captain once who he was one of the flight medics, and his baby died. Horrible. Baby died. It's not his fault. It was a crib death. You know, it was just a thing. But, you know, if you're a doctor, when your baby dies in your arms, that does something to you. So, by the way, you guys should check out Underdog Painting. Check out his death guard. Those things are freaking amazing. But anyway, so he had issues, man. And I was coming off of duty. And I was driving home and I saw him vehicle swerving. I initiated a stop, got the other desk sergeant to get a patrol over to me. As soon as I made contact with the driver, the guy looked at me and recognized me, talked to me for a few minutes. I called the desk sergeant on duty and I told her, hey, scrub this. This did not happen. You need to scrub it right now. But keep the patrol coming. So she said, Roger, without question, scrubbed it. And the guy, patrol showed up and I jumped in the guy's car with the patrol. We drove his car to his house, parked it. I took him upstairs, got him in his house, took his keys back to the MP station. Patrol took me back to my vehicle. I went back, talked to the desk sergeant on duty because I still had all the information and everything, and I was not 100% sure what I did was morally or ethically the right thing because I am a police officer. However, I am my brother's keeper. And, you know, that guy, he was one of our medics, you know, he was one of our docs. He took care of our families. And when his baby died, it did hit the whole community. And I could not condone drunken driving. However, you know, it's like O.J. Simpson. I'm not saying he did it, but if he did, I understand. You know, I would think that if I had to hold my baby in my hands when it died, I would get hammered drunk as often as possible for as long as possible. So, you know, we got the guy help. We called his our end state was we weren't going to tell our bosses until we were done and just say, look, if you want to hose us, that's fine, but we made this decision and this is what you can do about it. So I went to, because I knew the aviation guys, I went to their sergeant major, had him meet me at the guy's house, and I talked to him. And, you know, I asked for guidance. I was like, hey, sergeant major, what do I do here? And he's like, look, man, I'm not going to tell you what you need to do or what you should do. And I looked at him and I was like, can you tell me what you would do? Here you go. I'd shake this sergeant major's hand and turn around and forget this ever happened. I stuck out my hand and I hadn't spoken of it until now. So, but, you know, I got to tell you, man, it's sometimes you got to make those weird decisions. People talk a lot about bad stuff about cops these days. And, you know, don't get me wrong. If you watch 1,000 videos and every one of them is a cop shooting a guy, of course you're going to think cops running around doing that. But I was a cop 21 years. I drew my sidearm one time with the intent that I was going to shoot a man. But even though blood was spurting out of his wrist and he had a bottle that he had busted and sliced his wrist open, and he was staring at me with the bottle in hand, when I looked in his eyes, I did not see the intent that I saw when I was in combat. I could tell he didn't want to kill me. This dude was hurt. He wanted to kill himself. And he thought he was about to get suicided by a cop. And I holstered my weapon. My partner, Rain, he didn't. If that guy would have came from me, Rain would have put two in his chest, one in his head, and not had a second thought about it, and no one would have ever questioned it. But he didn't. Rain kept his cool. He watched the guy, and I walked up to him, talked to him, got him to drop the bottle. We were walking and talking, kind of working around each other. As soon as the first time he turned his head to look to Rain, I jumped over and grabbed both of his hands and just held him for a second. And that was long enough for Rain to holster and come in. And that was the only time I put habeas grabus on a person. So I'm going to do some work on this sword. That was, some people used to say, you know, hey, like a couple of guys were talking crap like, man, you had the chance to drop a guy and you didn't. Like, that's not why I'm a cop, dude. So, yeah, there are people that think that way. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to say there aren't. But, yeah, a lot of people were like, you need to work on your takedown procedures. And I wasn't trying to take the guy down. I didn't want to hurt the guy. The guy had massive freaking trauma to his wrists. Like, he literally, at least this X-wing worth of tattoo right here. I mean, this guy took a soda bottle and just gashed that on both sides. Like, seriously, the cam video from my chest cam and car cam, you could see the blood spurting out of this dude's arms from like 30 feet. It was crazy. But anyway, like I said, I understand that there's bad guys, but, you know, some of us wanted to be cops because we grew up crappy and we wanted to make the world a better place. So anyway, those are the guys that taught me how to be leaders. Find people that know stuff you don't. Don't try to get their knowledge. Get their trust. Get their confidence. So, you know, later on down the road, when you're get told by your platoon sergeant, hey, guess what, dude? I need you to pull a range out your butt and train 170 soldiers from, or no, it was 70 soldiers from the Virgin Islands military police detachment down there. You got me? Not a problem, son. I got this. And you can call those guys and you're like, hey, First Sergeant Stansbury, you I'm gonna be in your office today. I need to come get some guidance from you. Not a problem, son. I'll be here anytime. Because, you know, you always try to take care of soldiers. The thing about the Army, is you try to handle everything at the lowest level possible, because if the colonel doesn't need to know, don't freaking tell the colonel. That's why you have a sergeant major, because the sergeant major can keep the colonel happy. So, I would talk to these first sergeants and be like, hey, I got this guy. I've got a PBT, a portable breathalyzer. He's borderline. Can you come get this guy, first sergeant? Within minutes, several NCOs would show up. Let me get the guy. Let me get his car. All right, hey, thank you. You keep their guys out of the blotter. You keep everything at the lowest level possible. They'll handle their guy. They always do. So, and you go to those first sergeants. I was like, hey, first sergeant, I got an issue. I got this training thing coming up, and I need to transport soldiers, but I don't have a driver. Not a problem, Sergeant. Stop me before I ever got going. How many people are you transporting? I said, I got 70 coming in and probably 10 range detail. And he goes, all right, I will have 3 LMTVs, 3 NCOs, 3 competent drivers. Do you need ammo moved? Yes, I do, First Sergeant. I will have a guy at the AHA. Just have your person meet him out there and square it away. And that was that. That was how the Army worked. It wasn't a backdoor thing. Like people always say, oh, it's a good old boy. No, it was not a good old boy system. You could call it that, and it's, that's so oversimplifying it. It was, we understand the bureaucracy of how difficult it is to get things done on the fly that you just randomly get attached with. And we've all been there. And those that want to help you because you're a person that's helped them, they will. And they will go out of their way to make sure you are always taken care of, because, one, if ever they need you for your expertise, you will in turn offer it to them. And I have. I've done training classes. When I was working physical security, I was working physical security and hanging out with the game wardens a lot, because, Fort Polk was very political with the civilians in the MP positions. It was all just a bunch of retired military police guys that, don't get me wrong, do you, but, guys that couldn't function outside of the military, so they had to go do exactly what they were doing in the military as a civilian. It's like, dude, I understand. I'm not going to fault them. It's just, you had your time. You were in the Army. You did this in the Army. You had your time. Go be retired out of the Army and give the next generation a place to go. So now the reason the Army is so messed up, in my opinion, is you have 20 people in an MP station, right? Let's say in those 20 people, 5 of those people are your military police investigators. Well, those are, 90% civilian. You might have 2 or 3 actual soldiers, but no, the rest are just civilians. If you're lucky, you'll have, like the ones we had in Germany didn't have soldiers, only civilians. Traffic. Traffic investigators, you would have one Army traffic investigator, and that was generally the guy that they gave the tickets to, and he was kind of the clerk. But most of the patrols are civilian patrols. It's like, okay, why are you having civilian police officers on a military installation when you've got companies of military police officers sitting here? It's like, I get that they're like, well, what if they deploy? Don't deploy all of your MPs. Keep enough to run the base and have enough to deploy. Get rid of the civilians, and you can have that. So, but I'm just a guy with some common sense trying to ask why you're overcomplicating that. So that being said, where was I? Sorry. I'm still kind of in and out of it because I don't think I slept last night. I dozed, like I said. So every now and then my train of thought will fade off and I'll just sit here half dozing in and out. I see I've been going for about 45 minutes. So I'm probably going to log off, rewatch this, and laugh at my ramblings. But I am blaming this on still suffering from the effects of COVID. But it is survivable. I was diagnosed by the VA. It was hilarious. You know, my wife says I am a major butthole, but lady said something about the Pfizer vaccine, and I said, "Nah, I want to survive this. I'm just going to drink NyQuil." And yeah, that's my one trick joke for the next couple episodes. All right, guys, take it easy. Be safe.